course, when someone did start using the word new romantic, we were horrified.
So actually, well, you were saying you bought a synthesizer. What was? Can you say the first song that you that really you could label Spandau Ballet sound?
Well, I think it was, to cut a long story short, you know, I think
the first song,
that riff really.
You wrote it around the riff.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, the synthesizer that we spent months, which seemed like years, paying off. You know, that was a big impact when you weren't earning much money to have to put some money towards a bit of equipment, including strings as well. And it was only recently that we tracked one down, the original synthesizer, so that we could use that for playing it live.
What is it?
It's a Yamaha CS10.
What is the price?
Well,
Back then?
I think it was £200 then, which
200.
is a lot of money, you know, for a monophonic synthesizer, which, you know, everyone's got a better synthesizer on their phone now. But times have changed.
What changed the band was adopting a different kind of style of music, which we were inspired by in this club, and that was John playing four-on-the-floor drum, dance beats, you know, with a very sort of, you know, square synthesizer riffs, and a kind of, you know, much more of a European sound. And I suppose our big influence then was Bowie, more than anything else.
Berlin period from Bowie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. You know.
And did the songwriting change for you once the synthesizer was bought?
Yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely.
Can
I mean,
you
all
say
the
how?
old,
Can you say how?
in fact, all the old songs went, you know, and apart from one actually, we just survived, a song called Confused. Yeah, just, you know, as I described, much more dance orientated, based around synth riffs, and I guess a little bit more operatic in its and theatrical in its melody and lyric, because that was the kind of style that we were looking at. That's how people were envisaging themselves, kind of a bit cabaret Berlin between the wars, and so that suited Tony, you know, because he's got that kind of a voice.
Does the sound? I mean, it is labeled now the new romantic sound.
Yeah.
What do you think of the description? Is it true, or do you think, well,
it's
at
a
the time,
tag, you know.
It's a tag. We hated any description. I think you find anyone that was involved in the scene at the time refused to be tagged. There was quite a few names floating around. We could be sitting here as futurists, or the cult with no name. You know, that was an interesting one because no one could think of anything that fit. And when someone did start using the word new romantic, we were horrified. Yeah. But I guess it needed
Why?
Well, it's just a horrible description to something which felt a little bit more important than new romantics.
I think every band thinks that they are unique, you know, and want to be unique. Yeah. And you'd have the same conversation with, you know, a metal band. You go, oh, you heavy metal? Well, not really. You know, it's just a pigeonhole that people like. People like to compartmentalise music and culture, and hey, that was the tag that we got. But you know, if you look at the other new romantic bands, they were quite different to Spandau Ballet. We were quite different to most bands.
But I think it's good to be a part of a scene. You know, the fact that we were part of a youth culture movement, pop culture movement, something that was part of an evolution that went all the way from rock and roll. The Teddy Boys in the 50s. I think, you know, there's something to be proud of in that. There was definitely a forward motion to youth culture, which kind of drew to a halt, really. I guess youth culture was much more combined, well, I think probably with dance music later on in the 90s, right? Because after then, youth culture is now about more than just music.
Games, it's
games, comedians. I mean, a lot of different stuff. You know, Twitter. You know, it's where in those days everything was associated with what was your musical reference point.
Yeah, totally, yeah.